Alright, Abzan mid-range. A couple people in chat have been making the joke that this is Abzan big range. Got 27 lands here because we want to curve right on up to all of our chonky boys and girls here. The question in my mind is going to be, is what we're doing at the top end of this deck competitive against the other decks that are going big in this format? Can we keep up with the Yorians and the Fires and the expansion explosions that are going on in this format is a very real question. Something I didn't say, Abzan, for reference, if people aren't familiar with that word, that's magic jargon for this three-color combination we have here of green, black, and white. We notably got a Triome in these colors in the most recent set, which is lovely. So let's go ahead and dive on into a standard event with this one and see how it feels. No companion unplayable, something like that. Do you think it's worth spending wildcards on Triomes? My question to my answer to is it worth spending wildcards on X is effectively always the same. If you will play X and you will derive enjoyment from playing it, it's probably worth spending your wildcards on. Thanks for the stream title push. We were ranting about Magic Arena not clearing text properly. Almost missed that one. You don't derive enjoyment from lands. This is probably the wrong game for you. Lands are wonderful, chat. They let you cast your spells. Sweet, 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 luxurious spells. Alright, well, I guess we just play Polyk and hope to beat them down here. Excited for my 4-mana play that didn't impact the board to get bounced by Brazen Borrower. If we can get to the Casualties of War... Ooh. 5-drop fits in really nice. So, I don't know that we really leverage Nissa all that well. Like, while we have a lot of expensive top end, we don't really have that much top end bigger than Nissa, if that makes sense. I make this reach to defend from a potential Brazen Borrower. Although I guess if they have Borrower, they could just bounce the token. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we have some kind of X spell to really leverage that big mana payoff from her, like we would in Bane, say. This card is so good, chat. It's so good. Get my chumps on. Now, Vivien here, Monsters Advocate, lets us play creatures off the top of our deck. So you can see a Temple plenty here. So if we flip a creature up there next turn, we can potentially generate some card advantage with her, which is nice. Also might want to just like make a beast and have Polyk fight the shark. Alright, we can play this and still have Polyk fight the shark, which is nice. The new Vivien seems really well balanced, which of course in the face of Nissa means it's not seeing much play. I agree. I agree. I think the design on this Planeswalker is really elegant. I actually think this Planeswalker is a really good example of static ability Planeswalkers not being an inherently bad thing. I think much like Companions, static text on Planeswalkers, while contested by some because there are some bad designs for it, I think overall static abilities on Planeswalkers is a wonderful design space that I hope they continue to explore. I think, like, this Vivien, 3 mana Tibalt, 3 mana Domri, there's lots of good examples of static text Planeswalkers that are very reasonable. They're not all Narset and Teferi. 3 mana Vivien, yeah. Yes, and I think that's really the key. The key difference between, the static effects that are good and the static effects that are not good are the static effects that are fine are the ones that are not prison effects. The key to good game design, in my opinion, is letting your players do sweet things as opposed to having your players' things tell their opponent they can't do sweet things. The failures in those designs are the prison aspects, not just static text is bad. Static text is bad is super reductionist. It's a very, very lazy take. Creature land. I choose you and you. Almost like Companion's bad is the lazy reductionist take. Yes. Yes, completely agree. Companion's bad. Also lazy reductionist take. Wow, their hand must be bad. Alright, so post Barbie to bring in Remorse and Trophy and a bunch of shifty boys. To trim some of this expensive top end here. Actually, Chev's probably not very good. What do you think of this? Bring in some cheap interaction. Trim some of our top end here. Still seems like most of the good effects are a benefit to the card owner and the bad ones are detriment to the opponent. Yep. How good is Cavalier here? Probably not great. But I also think it's probably better than most of these cards over here. Maybe Kethis is marginally better just because, like, it's a 3-power. It's a 3-power thing. Oh, this blocks sharks. I like that it blocks sharks. I don't think Vraska killing sharks is enough. Although I guess she also kills Uro. And, like, killing Uro is relevant. I don't know. I've got a lot of things left to kill Uro, though, right? I've got this, this, and this. I'm probably fine. Let's do it. Oh! Kethis is an accelerant for our legendary cards. I always forget about that part of his text in these more fair matchups. Yeah, I'm going to trade the Cavaliers out for 2 Kethis if we have a game 3. The fact that he ramps makes a big difference that I had not considered there. I appreciate that aspect. And that's again why the details of why recommendations are good or bad are just so key, right? So, decision point. Do I Remorse this turn, or do I Druid and then double Remorse the next turn? The downside to waiting and double Remorsing is if they growth spiral, they can Wilderness Reclamation before I get a chance to take it, and I don't currently have a way to interact with Wilderness Reclamation. However, if they get Reclamation down and I get to double Remorse them, there's a good chance that they won't have a good payoff left to utilize with the Rec for a little bit, giving us a chance to find a way to kill it. So I think maximizing my mana output here is ideal, but I think there's definitely merit to potentially Remorsing this turn. Alright, didn't get reclamationed. Sure. These are a few of my favorite things. The title is correct. Mobile Twitch especially doesn't always update. Really? They took my Vivien? Okay. Do they have another expansion explosion? Just double Shark Typhoon. Okay, we're gonna take those away here. Their hand currently doesn't do much, but our deck's got a lot of strong top decks. What I am interested in are the hard-working and difficult reductionist takes. How is Red White cycling historic? Just as fun as standard. I really hope that Amonkhet Remastered brings Hollowed One with it, so we can play Hollowed One in the cycling deck in historic. I think that would be awesome. I'd have fun at least. It's like turn 1 Fox, turn 2 Cycle, turn 3 Cycle, play Hollowed One. Is Amonkhet Remastered not the entire block? It is not. So, for people that aren't familiar with Magic Online, the way the remastered sets work are they tend to try and sculpt a reasonable limited format from all of the sets in the block. So, Amonkhet Remastered will be a collection of what they hope will be a good limited format so players can draft it so they can make money from limited, as well as trying to hit the constructed staples. Alright, so Shark Typhoon here, giving them the 6th card they need in the graveyard to escape their Uro. We got the Paradise Druid down though, so we're going to get to Casualties of War this turn, so that's nice. My body is ready to get, like, Reclamation into expansion explosions here. It'll be, so again, the way the remastered sets work, they take cards from the entire block and build one, like, superset for it. So it won't be all of Amonkhet. It won't be all of whatever the second set is, Hour of Devastation. It'll be a mix of the two. That's brutal. Probably dead here. Yes, we'll get Approach the Second Sun, which will be sweet. How's this deck been so far? Match 1, game 2. We're up a game, though. Looks like we're about to go to game 3, though. Who's excited for Fire's Approach? That's funny. So you just, like, get both approaches in your hand. You just, like, pop them both off when you hit 7 lands. That's great. Yeah, we're super dead. We were not near the 6 cards for this, I don't believe. I mean, to be fair, Fire's Approach is probably incredibly fair and reasonable in Historic. Again, one of the reasons why Historic is fun, in my opinion, is because there's a variety of powerful things in a lot of different archetypes. Like, one of the reasons why Standard kind of struggles is that, like, the card pool's not quite deep enough. Oh, I forgot to put the Kethis back in. It's too late. We were talking about that a while ago and then talking about other things. Gotta be faster. Gotta be faster, chat. The sound effect on this land is real strange. I have two left to get Arbiter, silly cheese. I need to auto Spider 20. And I need to do the last clan boss mission, which will just take some keys. I haven't cleared Spider 19 yet. But I did open a miscreated monster yesterday while cracking blue shards, so I can hopefully clear it with that. Speaking of Kethis, yep. I think I'm supposed to just trophy this. That sounds good. For people that didn't just understand the other game jargon I was just talking about there, the Raid Shadow Legends mobile game is something that a bunch of us in Hooglandia play. Including myself. So, we chat about that on stream on occasion. No worries, Punchworthy. I'll be around. Real life takes precedence. Real life's been a little crazy lately for a lot of us. Yeah, there's 2 or 3 active raid clans. If you're in the subs Discord server, you could pop in. And there's ones in the description. If you actually just search Hooglandia, there's one. The ad campaign for that game was far too aggressive. It was very aggressive. You're not wrong. So, they have plenty of food for Kethis anyways, kinda. So I think I'm just playing this as a reach blocker. Rather than getting Vivien going. Getting another 5-power critter in play is also decent. Am I into drawing more Cavalier of Thorns? Don't think so. I think with the second one, that's fine. Well, hello, lovely wife. She brought me food, chat.
Enjoy.
I knew she loved me. Well, you know. Yes, your opponent does get to know if you top or bottom with Aether Gust. They could kill us next turn. Actually, am I supposed to attack with this one? Or am I supposed to just not attacking with this and saving it for reach means I get to play around a second Brazen Borrower? Yeah, I think I hit them with this. They go to 7. Kethis puts them to 9, and then I have 10 next turn. Yeah, I think that's actually the play. Yeah, plays our own shark too. I forgot about that. Forgot about that one. So you're dead here, hopefully? Sick. I appreciate everybody that took a deep breath and held it in there for us. Sometimes hashtag sometimes lucky. Alright, looks like Fire's here. Easy mulligan with no second land. This is a keep. I think I'm going to keep the double Paradise Druid. I think having fast Casualties of War is one of the ways we can win this matchup. Dear opponent, please don't Clary on me. I think, again, we probably just want to drag our curve down. That's probably the case. Just similar to how we boarded against the last deck. In terms of role assessment, I think a deck like what we're playing is definitely the beatdown in a matchup like this, and we want to board accordingly for that. How's Mythos been? It's been a 3-mana Doomblade. Laturi. I think I denied one or two. I don't think Standard has a card pool deep enough to play Laturi Fox, so I'm not taking Laturi Standard submissions. And I'd entertain it in any of the formats with larger card pools, but I think Standard is just not good enough. Would Agent ever do anything useful in your arc field? No, the conclusion at the end of the set was that it was a bad addition. Unnecessary addition. Standard is all combo decks, I swear. This format is very, very combo-y. I agree. It doesn't... It feels like... And we talked about this with when we played the big greedy deck yesterday, right? The big decks in this format that go huge don't really get punished for being greedy because they play so many cards like Uro and Deafening Clarion and Shatter that are just like so incidentally good against aggro without having to exert extra effort or thought about it. Yeah, the Obosh was good. I'm going to update the Yarok field list on my site tonight to include Obosh as a companion, I think. Alright, that's the Teferi. We get to Questing Beast that next turn. Do we have to make any cuts for Obosh? Only from the sideboard. We turned Duress into... What do? We turned Duress into We turn Agonizing Remorse into Duress, and we turned Assassin's Trophy and Cast Out into more Maelstrom Pulse and Deadweight.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
Where does a combo deck start and mild synergy end? When the mild synergy ends the game on the spot, in my opinion. So, like, for example, the Fires decks verge on combo decks because their nut draws are making 14 mana worth of plays on turn 5. 14 mana worth of plays on turn 5 is not fair.
I call, and Ikoria answers.
The Girl Aggro Fires deck. I've not Greaseball. I would be very surprised if that's better than just like these Jeskai builds that get to draw more cards. Do you believe in magic? Do. Brazen Borrowers of a Hun card. Peach of Izzle, new to Arena. Started playing the stock cycling deck and can't cast my Luris. And can't cast your Luris. Well, I don't understand. Do you have double white? Do your lands make white mana? It is a multicolored spell. And like here, right? Like, I'm a little bit behind. And like, this is what I said when we talked about in the opening of this deck. Like, can our deck be competitive against what this Fires deck is doing? It doesn't feel like it. Like, our plays are too expensive. Our plays are too expensive to play through Brazen Borrowers and Teferi's. And then they just get to make so much mana with Fires, we just can't keep up. Yeah, like now they get to play Kruga and draw 3 cards, and then they get to play Cavalier and just get buried very, very quickly. Yeah, most of the websites you export decks from don't support the companion option by default, so you need to drag it from your sideboard to the companion zone, because Magic Arena is a little bit awkward with the rules compared to Magic Online. And we just can't win at this point. It's way too far behind. I would be very surprised if decks like what we're playing could ever feel competitive against the Fires decks. I think they can have the tools to fight Temur Reclamation like we beat in the first round. I think they have plenty of good tools to be competitive against aggressive decks like Luris in the format. But I think the axes that a deck like what we're currently playing is fighting on just cannot keep up with Fires of Invention and the big 5 mana plays. You just can't. So it looks like they have a Mystic Dispute based on that Arena pause there. A Mystic Dispute's currently bugged, so it gives you priority to pause when you have 1 blue up, even on non-blue spells. Fires is a good long game deck. It's hard to compete with interactive midrange. Yeah, and like, so the big part of the problem with the design, in my opinion, is that not only is Fires a good long game deck, but Fires is also a deck that could just like kill you on turns 5 and 6, right? So like, not only does it have like one of the best long games around, but the Cavalier variations also have a pseudo combo kill in the mid game turns. So like, You have to not die to their combo, but then you also have to try and outgrind Kruga and Cavaliers and Kenrith and Conqueror's Death and like all this other stuff that they're doing too. It's just very, very difficult to impossible for decks like what we're playing to do that. Something a little more controlling here, perhaps, like Jeskai control with Yorion. We thought Fires wasn't good. Did people think Fires wasn't good? I have to go back and listen to past Jeff, but I feel like I'd be surprised if past Jeff was on the Fires wasn't good plan.
That's more like it.
In fact, I distinctly remember at multiple points talking about how if Fires was good, it probably wasn't good in the mopey Planeswalker Fire decks that people were playing. I remember past Jeff saying things like that. In fact, I distinctly remember saying at points, if the Fires deck is busted, it probably involves making 14 mana on turn 5 with the Cavalier decks. I remember past Jeff talking about stuff like that. I do distinctly remember making fun of the Planeswalker Fire decks. Like, there was like Grixis Fires that people played. That was definitely bad.
There are so many mysteries to uncover. Meditate and prepare.
It's like, what's my route to victory here? It feels kind of bleak. Maybe I'm supposed to Casualties of War to destroy. They have a bunch of beacons and planes for mana sources, so maybe I'm supposed to take them off one of their lands. I know Twitch chat wants to Stone Rain them, so like... No, I'm actually a vegetarian, so I am in fact not eating the children's chicken. I'm eating some mac and cheese.
With thoughtfulness before action.
If you wanna hear me chew, you have to subscribe to my OnlyFans. The only disgusting things we do on this stream for the price of your subscription are magic related. If you want to hear other disgusting things, you gotta pay a little extra for that. Huro is a $45 card. Oh, MTG Finance. Drop the link, bro. Like, this isn't even good, because it, like... This isn't even great, like, and it's like, I guess I'm supposed to kill this, maybe? Like, I'm supposed to kill this? Yeah, I punted this. I'm supposed to kill this because otherwise they Yori and blink it. Alright, let's get our discard spells in. Let's get our Ceratops in. Hey, Wanderer. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. Welcome, welcome. This is not a Chevill matchup. Vraska kills their 3-mana Planeswalker, so that's probably good. This is probably... Casualties of War is probably not great against their pile of counterspells. We cast Ultimatum yet? We've not. This is also the first match I'm not boarding it out, though, so we'll see. One last cell on the Gruul Fires deck. You get Fires. I mean, I'm sure it's playable. Like, it seems like it's doing busted things. Again, like, I believe that you're winning games with it. If someone submitted it, I would play it on stream. Just, again, I am, without playing it and without having really played against it, I think we played against it one time, I am skeptical that it would ever be better than the Jeskai variation that's been more popular. So again, seems... Fire's inherently powerful thing. It's a neat take on that. But on the surface level, looking at it from a theory-crafted perspective, I would be surprised if it's better than Jeskai. It's what I've got. I think I'm just getting rid of Conqueror's Death here. Sounds right. So they can't, hopefully can't deal with Ceratops. So starting next turn, they're going to have blue-blue available. So I think it's important to get in my Planeswalker that could be absorbed now, rather than play the Ceratops. Want to prioritize getting this in while they don't have the counterspell up. Narset's probably going to kick her. Really want to draw an untapped green source here. That way I can Shifting Ceratops, kill their Narset. Second best to draw after... Untapped green source is any untapped lands. That way I can conquer Narset with Elspeth. Do you think Elspeth conquering Narset would be a Wizards-approved storyline? Or would that one not be kosher? That one not be okay? Is that new? Is that Ceratops animation new, or have I never noticed it before? I feel like I haven't seen the little dino head before. That's gotta be new, right? Had it for a little bit? I believe that. It wasn't there at one point, though, right? Like, it's a little bit new. Can you get a little bit new? It's been there since the last patch. Okay. New-ish. Sure. Okay, once again, they do not have Absorb available. So now I have to decide, would I rather get Conqueror's Death down, or would I rather get Vivien down? I think I'd rather get Conqueror's Death down. Let's do this to start. Endure Dovin's Veto, okay. I think I attack this one, because it's more likely to find a useful card.
My mind needs a rest. Many paths lie before me. I know 88 ways to hone your prowess.
Well, I was really excited about this draw. And then I looked back up at their hand and remembered that they had an absorb. So I guess we'll bait with this. And like, again, like with the Yorion looming, they get to Conqueror's Death by Ceratops, and then I just can't make plays until a Conqueror's Death goes away because they have Exile a thing just sitting in play as long as their Yorion's in exile. So again, that question of can what this mid-range deck is doing keep up with what these other decks in this format are doing is a real question. It's not feeling like it. The Fire's deck ran us down. And this deck is also killing us here. Okay, so like I can do this at least. That's a decent draw. Do you have a veto? My desk is really not happy today. Ugh. Should we just be playing Yorion ourselves? Maybe. I actually saw a really reasonable, I think it was Jeskai Yorion. Magic Online player had tweeted a list they 5-0'd with. Is playing like Arcanist Owl and stuff, just like trying to maximize finding fires and Elspeth Conquers Death with Yorion. Seemed really good. Alright, so now we get to do this. Trump is going to order the meat plants to stay open. Can he order? I mean, he can't. That's not how this works, right? If the private company wants to close their business because they have a lot of cases of COVID among their staff, like, they're allowed to close. Like, it's like when he says he can dictate when states open back up. Yeah, right? Like, yeah, hypocrisy is definitely how the GOP operates. You're not wrong. He can probably use the Defense Production Act to compel them to stay open. We need the nuggets for war. We need the nuggets for war. God, could you imagine if this idiot dragged his feet on issuing the Defense Production Act to make masks and ventilators, and then he uses it to keep a chicken plant open? Like, good lord.
Alas,
Oh, it's definitely on brand. You're not wrong. It's on brand is certainly true. No, nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing surprises me anymore. Imagine if the GOP had yelled for years about states' rights and didn't actually care at all. They don't, yeah. While we slowly die to Yorion here, just as a general reminder, you should remember that Trump's base will not be swayed by logic, reasoning, or rule of law. They are a cult, and it is important that you vote in whatever capacity you are able to in the fall in the United States if you would like to see Trump removed from office. His base is unshakable and will be voting for him regardless. People need to show up and vote if we want this abomination removed from office. Do not get complacent and think that this will be easy. Complacency is why Hillary lost. She ran a bad campaign because she was complacent, and then she lost. People thought it was impossible for him to win. He very, very clearly showed us that that was not the case. She won the popular vote. Sure. Yeah, you're right. She did win the popular vote. That also doesn't matter in the United States. And she knew that didn't matter. And knowing that she could lose the popular vote, win the popular vote, and still lose the election is part of why she ran a bad campaign. Yeah, Al Gore also won the popular vote. Well, alright, Shifty. It's on you. You gotta hold down the fort. I believe in you, Dino. We're going places and we're doing things. I am 29 years old. I have never voted for a Democrat in a presidential election. I did not vote in the 2016 primary. In the 2016 general election, I voted for whichever idiot was the libertarian candidate for president. And then someone who's capable of having eyes and capable of critical thinking. I saw what was happening in the United States under Donald Trump, and I realized that they're not all the same, and my vote does matter, and I should care. And Donald Trump radicalized me with his nonsense into a frothing at the mouth, dirty progressive. I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016 though, because like I do have eyes, and I did like understand that he was an awful human in 2016. Like I understood that. And part of me also understood that like I live in Illinois, which is a safe blue state, so like my vote effectively counted for Hillary Clinton regardless of who I voted for. But I also didn't really care about it. But yeah, I'm a straight white male who grew up with a reasonable amount of privilege. I've never worried about really wanting for anything. I feel like a lot of people who end up in thinking they're libertarians early in life follow a path similar to I did. Grew up in a conservative household, always had plenty of privilege, went out in the world a little bit, discovered different things, and realized that Republicans are actually just like borderline fascists, racist bigots for the most part, the way their policies implement. And you're like, well, I don't really want to be a Democrat, so this libertarian thing's kind of in the middle. And then like when you actually start to understand the world and like how the world works, you realize that like libertarianism is just like not something that works in actuality. It's like a fantasy land political policy. Thanks for the 3/4 of a year, Corinne. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I feel like anybody who fancies themselves a libertarian, like, just really doesn't understand that the idea of being fiscally conservative cannot coexist while being socially liberal, because life is inherently unfair. And if life is inherently unfair, you can't count on it to reasonably balance things out for everyone, and you have to spend money to make life fair. That's just how it works. Anywho, this deck sucked almost as much as American politics do. I don't think these kind of mid-rangey decks are competitive in the current standard environment. They're just not competitive against these fire decks. Yorion fires, like even the last deck we just played against, like they weren't a fires deck, right? But like they were like this control deck. And the way that they went over the top with Yorion and Elspeth Conquers Death was just not not something that we could keep up with. Just the individual quality of our cards is kind of low. We don't have anything useful to ramp into with Cavalier of Thorns, and this card's not inherently card advantage because it's not filling up our graveyard, right? Like, the only way this kind of generates card advantage is with Polukranos, and even then, Polukranos is kind of clunky and slow. So, I felt like, yeah, this deck doesn't go big enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, we gave it a try. We shook the tree. We had the expected results. All right, we got one more standard deck before we call it a day. We are going to get a little bit flashy to close things up here. I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while I get everything flipped over. I'm also going to run and brush my teeth really quick because I just ate some lunch. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with one more standard deck before we call it a day. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.